Hello and welcome. My name is Francisco. I work for Virtual CNS. And in this particular video, we're going to talk about Office 365. Specifically, we're going to actually look into what is OneDrive. Okay. So thanks for being with us. We're going to, as always, start kind of showing you around a little bit about Office.com. As we talked before, obviously the user authenticates and is able to get to this particular portal. And from here, you start obviously your work, your day. And let's say, for example, you're going to be using the OneDrive. Now, the main question typically that we ask is what is the difference between OneDrive and SharePoint? A lot of people get confused by this. And let's actually open this up. I'm going to try to open this up and compare them both in this particular situation. So in this case, we're going to go back to here, and then we're going to compare side by side. Oops, yeah, click on the wrong button here. We're going to go to documents. Okay, so in here, what we're going to do is we're going to compare against what is the difference between this particular section, SharePoint, and OneDrive. So it's important to actually mention the difference because a lot of people get confused. They look very similar to each other. As you guys can see, you have the SharePoint on the right side, you have this one on the left side, and it looks the same. So in reality, the basic function, the basic explanation to this functionality is that SharePoint is a shared environment. Okay, it's an environment where you're gonna go to share your files with your organization, with a team. It can be maybe if you're working for the accounting department, for example, you're going to share this with the files with the accounting team. Okay, so that's what the SharePoint is for. The OneDrive is really a space that is available to each user individually. So while the application is going to look the same or at least very similar, then it's not really the same. It doesn't do the same thing. Any files that you put in here are not necessarily going to be shared within your organization. You can do that. You can actually set permissions to share and give access to other members in your organization. But nevertheless, in reality, it's actually made for your files. Every file that you're actually going to create within this organization are yours. Nobody's necessarily going to be able to see that they're private to you. So in some organizations, this is used really for, let's say, for example, you're working for, again, an accounting department, and then you are to be working very sensitive files, but it's only you. Your manager or your business ask you to create some files not to be shared. These are files that are going to be you. You're going to manage this on a daily basis. This is a space that Microsoft gives you as part of your membership, and then you can actually save the files here. Okay, the same thing, you can actually save the files as you guys can see on the screen right now. You can create Excel, you can create PowerPoint presentations, links, forms, which is a nice functionality available, and you can manage it through this space. No one is necessarily going to see these files as compared to Microsoft SharePoint. Then you're gonna anybody is going to be able to see those files depending on the permissions that you set. So that comes again, it's important to differentiate between one and the other one because it gets confused. Not only that, it gets more confusing when you actually are using Microsoft SharePoint. But when you click on here in a sync, as you guys can see up there, it's telling you to download the local application to your desktop. And what is the name of this application? OneDrive. Again, not to even confuse you more, but yeah, it is OneDrive. So people are like, wait a second, but I don't understand. I'm using SharePoint, but now I have to download an application locally in my desktop called OneDrive. And then what is OneDrive when we're talking about the actual web-based application? So yeah, it has a similar name, almost the same, or the same, but it's used for different purposes. When I click on here and I sync, yes, I download the application called OneDrive, but I'm syncing to my SharePoint area, okay? And yes, once you download the application to your desktop, you can sync the data back to two different spaces at the same time. You can sync to your SharePoint for share files, and you can also sync to your personal OneDrive available. So yeah, at some point at the beginning of the process, users get confused, but at the end of the day, they understand that you're using OneDrive application to connect to SharePoint and the same OneDrive application to also connect to your OneDrive space, which is for personal use initially. Okay, so yes, I mean, Microsoft for some reason organized the structure this way, and it's just a matter for you to understand and be able to utilize these components properly. And that's pretty much the main focus of the video, be able to introduce the basic concepts and be able to explain how this works and be able to understand what are the purpose for OneDrive and what are the purpose for Microsoft SharePoint in this case. Well, this is the end of the video, a very quick video, but very useful for you to understand the main concepts and for you to start working in your Office 365 environment. Thanks again for being with us. If you have any questions, you can send an email to support@virtualcns.com, and we will be happy to help. Thank you.